Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, November 13th. So what, did that take all of 4 to 6 weeks for Avery to come into town and sleep with her sister's ex-husband? That's all it took? 4 to 6 weeks and the job was done. Well, Avery and Nick totally slept together. I mean, they're both culpable. They both totally did it, despite Phyllis, and in Avery's case, to spite Phyllis. And I have to say, although I do like Avery, I like Avery as a character, as someone who brings some spice into Genoa City, but as a person, I think she's a sneak. I think she's a snake. I think that she is saying that she's one thing and presenting herself one way, but she's clearly another way. She is Phyllis's sister. She has a dark side to her. She has a sneaky side to her, and it's really showing this week, I think. I don't know. What did you guys think about the Nick and Avery affair? I'm sure that you have plenty of opinions that you will not hesitate to share with me. You know, the thing that bugs me is that after Nick and Avery slept together, Phyllis called Nick on his cell phone, but Nick was off in the bathroom taking care of his post-sex routine, whatever it is he does, and Avery's sitting in bed, sees that Phyllis is calling Nick on his cell phone. She picks up the phone and pretty much tells Phyllis where she can find them. Pretty much sets up a scenario wherein Phyllis walks into Avery's hotel room, sees her in post-sex mode with Nick, sees that she just slept with her ex-husband, and let's face it, even though Phyllis and Nick aren't official, they still have a deep bond, a deep connection. They were married for a number of years, and they started up an affair recently, so let's not pretend that Nick and Phyllis weren't together in some way, even though it maybe wasn't necessarily mutually exclusive. Still, Avery sets up this situation to hurt Phyllis. And Phyllis walks in and sees them together, and she was so hurt, just so almost like beyond shock, almost like beyond hurt in a way that, you know, she kind of saw it coming on so many levels, and now she's just standing there looking at what has just happened between her ex and her sister. And she just realizes that it probably was going to happen all along. And it felt like a huge betrayal for her. And Nick looked like a total fool once he realized that Avery set him up. I mean, she set up the whole thing. I just can't get around it. I just can't get around that. And of course, she apologized to him and he forgave her later. But I get this feeling that Avery is playing this I'm a meek little kitten game. And I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. She claims that it's not about Phyllis. She's not sleeping with Nick to get back at Phyllis. Bull! Just bull. It wasn't about Phyllis, because it's all about Phyllis, if you ask me. I think everything that Avery is doing right now has everything to do with Phyllis. I think she's in town to get under Phyllis's skin. I think she's hanging out with Nick to get under Phyllis's skin. I think she's representing Daisy to get under Phyllis's skin. And Phyllis is just standing there like, what is going on with my life? You know, is this deja vu? Because with Nick, it's like she's constantly walking in on him cheating on her. She's constantly walking in on him in an infidelity situation, you know, and it's just, I cannot help but feel bad for her on one level. I feel like her, just, I don't know, her reaction was so real. Phyllis just was so hurt, and the whole thing was just so painful, and I just felt torn apart for her. Because the affair that she's had with Ronan feels to me like it's carnal, like it's about sex, but the sex that Nick had with her sister is personal. You know, I think on Avery's level it's about Phyllis. On Nick's level, I don't know if he was trying to do something to get back at Phyllis. I don't know. I kind of think Nick is just a passionate person. I think Nick is just led around by his you-know-what. And when the situation presented itself, Nick presented himself. That's kind of how I think it happened from Nick's point of view. But as much as I love Nick, I also feel like Phyllis should have been done with Nick when she divorced him months ago. She should never have let him back in. It's the same circle of problems that their relationship always had. She left him because he was constantly going after other women. Let's face it. And then they divorced. She was starting to get over Nick. She was going back to being this strong woman and getting out on her own and doing her own thing and rediscovering who she was. And then Nick comes back into the picture and it's the same thing all over again. It's the same insecurity all over again. And I feel it. I'm feeling Phyllis this week. I think that Michelle Stafford is on fire. She is. I mean, like, I don't see that there's any way of denying it. Is Michelle Stafford not the star of the show right now? I mean, she's the star of this show. I think she is the leading woman. She is in everything. She is in every single storyline, and she's rocking it. I know there are people out there who strongly don't like Phyllis, but I do. I feel her pain. She's made a lot of decisions that I haven't agreed with, certainly. But just as far as performance goes, I think Michelle Stafford is just a joy to watch. I get her. I feel her pain. I feel the pain that she's portraying, and I don't know. I think Phyllis is coming a long way. She's just a character that I don't know. I identify with just in some ways. Now, this week she got arrested. So it's not only does Avery have her claws out in sinking them into Phyllis's man, she's suing Phyllis for taking those photos out of the courtroom, which Phyllis never should have done. Phyllis made her own bed in this scenario, and she got arrested for it. It was humiliating, and Ronan had to come and arrest her. And luckily, Nick kind of tried to talk Ricky into dropping the charges, which would have got Phyllis completely off the hook. Of course, Phyllis kind of blew it by just talking to him alone. She should have let the lawyers handle it. She should never have had a face-to-face conversation with Ricky, but she did, and it just didn't quite go the way it was supposed to. So she was able to make bail, but the charges are still being brought up against her. But she goes to Nick and she thanks him for being the one to convince, Ricky to come talk to her, to at least try to talk to her. And she and Nick had this sort of moment that was like final. Even though they've had many final moments, but it seems like for now, Nick and Phyllis are kind of, this is just it. She's gone off. She's had her affair with Ronan. He's gone off. He did the one freaking thing that she asked him not to do. And so now it just seems like they're kind of over. I mean, honestly, I'm almost kind of surprised that she didn't quit Restless Style, or that he didn't fire her somewhere along the way. But it seems like for now they've decided just to be friends, with quotes, and and colleagues. I mean, I certainly don't know how long that will last. Phyllis and Nick, they even mentioned, always seem to have no problem with makeup sex. That's always seems to be what their relationship is hinged on, is this strong chemistry, and they just don't seem to ever see eye to eye. It's just always one argument after the other with those two, and now it just looks like, for the meantime, it appears to be over. And I do feel really bad, because I love Nick, and Nick is looking really good right now, by the way, too. He got a good haircut. He's looking nice. But on the other hand, I just feel like here we are once again. He breaks Phyllis's heart. Okay, here's where the pity party ends for Phyllis. I said it way back when Avery first came into town, and I'm gonna have to stand by it. where the feud between Avery and Phyllis is concerned. Phyllis fired the first shot. Avery came into town, kind of tried to reconcile with Phyllis. Now, whether or not it was genuine, I don't think we can really know. There's not enough backstory for Avery for us to really know if she was out to get her from the start. But Avery did try, and Phyllis totally blew the opportunity. Even if it was fake, Phyllis could have tried to catch more flies with honey, as they say, but she didn't. She started being really mean and really standoffish with Avery right from the beginning, and she should have been nicer to her. If she would have been nicer to her, maybe things would have turned out a little different. But now Avery is staying in town. She's decided she's staying put, and we're really gonna, I think, flesh out this relationship, and I'm very curious to learn more. I mean, I find this to be a compelling storyline. I like the pull, the conflict between Avery and Phyllis. I think that they're kind of two sides of the same coin, and it's interesting. They're both fiery in their own ways, and it's just, it's so far has been a real pleasure to watch, and I hope that we continue to get more information on the story. There was a little bit more revealed this week about their father and their home life, and I guess I always kind of assumed that it was sort of a like a mental abuse type situation, that maybe the mother and father were very mean to Phyllis, but it kind of seems like maybe what happened in the household was just that the father was perhaps in charge of some finances for perhaps some elderly people, or possibly maybe some mentally unstable people or something. He was in charge of some finances for some people who possibly weren't able to take care of it themselves, and there was an accusation that the father stole the money or made off with the money, and it became a wedge in Phyllis and Avery's relationship because Avery believed in her father's innocence. You know, there were these accusations came down. The father said, no, it wasn't, you know, I didn't do it, and Avery believed him, and it formed her character. She ended up making a career out of being the person to defend the innocent. Whereas Phyllis thinks that the father is lying. She thinks the father is crazy, and she doesn't believe his story. And, you know, maybe it was her belief or disbelief in her father that caused this sort of, caused her to sort of be the ugly duckling, the one on the outside, maybe caused the family to ostracize her, and therefore caused her to run away from home. So Phyllis perceived this situation in a completely opposite way from Avery, and she decided to run away, get away from the home, and to never look back. And I think it's interesting. I think I think there's more to be revealed. I hope we kind of find out more. I would love to see Phyllis's father. I would love to see Phyllis's mother. Phyllis has been a character that's been on the show for so long, and yet we've not really heard very much about her family. So I think that could be something that is very interesting. But she's clearly at this point where she is struggling with it. All of these demons from her past are coming back to haunt her, and she's having trouble reconciling the fact that she is from this kind of messed up family, and she's turning to Ronan. It seems to be, you know, kind of an area where she doesn't have anyone else to talk to about it. She feels alienated, and he's someone that she can kind of identify with. Meanwhile, I mean, Avery has pretty much got all of her bases covered. Nick, Daisy, the Daisy situation, Daniel. I mean, Daniel is just now finding out that he has this aunt, and the fact that Phyllis kept it from him is what makes Daniel upset, is what kind of in a way makes Avery look like a good guy, and makes Phyllis furthermore look like the bad guy. Like she didn't tell her son that she had a sister, when in reality Phyllis had some very real reasons for not wanting to tell him. So I mean, Avery really does have all of her bases covered. She's playing Daniel. I mean, I can almost, she had this interaction with Daniel this week, and I can almost just see her putting on her little innocent act. I don't don't buy it. Maybe you guys do. Maybe you guys think she's genuine, but I think she is really two-faced. You know, when Avery's talking to Daniel, kind of, you know, acting like she wants to be involved in his life, but she was kept away from him. It's just, there was something in her face that just made me completely not believe it. And I feel like, let's not pretend here that Avery is defending Daisy because she believes in her innocence. It's pretty clear. I mean, Daisy, I guess maybe Avery and Daisy have that in common, because Daisy has that way of turning on and off the innocence at will. But from my perspective, I think it's pure revenge for Avery. I think she's absolutely defending Daisy to get back at Phyllis, and I think that it's very, very possible that Daisy might end up getting off the hook because of that, which is very ironic. But again, I don't think that Phyllis is blameless here. I think she could have handled the whole situation completely differently. And while I'm at it, Phyllis, isn't it weird that she is calling herself Mom with Lucy, that she's like referring to herself as Lucy's mother? You're the guardian currently of the child, but time to wake up. News flash, you're her grandmother. You're not her mother. So why not just accept it? It looks weird and pathetic. So Christine is back in town this week, and she decided to join forces with Chance and Nina and confront Ronan and try to lay down a hard line to find out what the heck it was that happened with his liver. I mean, they confronted him in his office, and it was almost for a moment looking like, look, either you tell us what happened with this whole liver thing, or we're not moving. We'll be here all night until you tell us, which is what I wanted. I cannot believe that we don't know the truth about that. It has been months, and they keep, Weinhardt keeps dancing around it, and it's just this tease. I don't even care what it is. I just want to know what it is. But, you know, of course, even though Christine and Nina and Chance confronted Ronan, nothing really even came out of it. I mean, they acted all aggressive, and then Chance and Nina left the room to let Christine have a conversation with Ronan, and she sort of alluded to knowing kind of what the situation was, and that whatever it was, whatever the reason was, that it was not just about him being selfish. You know, kind of saying, I know that you have better qualities, I know that you're not just a terrible jerk, so I'm having trouble reconciling what you did with who I know you are. And the whole thing, if it was just an emotional issue, then that's fine. If it's just that Ronan had an emotional issue, then that's fine. But for some reason, I feel like, is there not more? Like, was there not a reason? I don't know. I don't, maybe that is the reason. Maybe that is the reason. Maybe it's just that he had an emotional trauma and couldn't deal with the rest of it. Because his whole persona, his whole attitude toward Nina is so... It's so aggressive on the outside, but on the inside, when you just look a little, I almost mean you just pick through the surface of who Ronan is, he just almost screams, "Love me, mommy. Love me, mommy." It literally is. That's exactly what it is. And this week, after, you know, the conversation with Christine, Nina basically told him, look, I'm done with you. I'm done trying with you. I've gone out of my way. And if you don't want to come to me, that's fine. The ball's in your court. Don't wait for me to come to you anymore. And Christine was like, you know what, screw you. Chance was like, screw you. And Ronan just... it was like a combination of exploding and collapsing, because he just has this fit in his office. He gets all upset and he storms out, and of course Phyllis saw the whole thing, followed him back home to his horrible hotel apartment, which is apparently the same place Billy is staying right now, and she tries to talk to him, tries to talk it through. You know, she sees him having this weak moment. I think think she came to him wanting more sex, but realized that he was having this weak moment and then used it as an in, which is exactly what I would have done if I wanted to have sex with Ronan, which I do. She comes into his hotel room and they start to talk it out. She tells him, I too have family issues. I know what it's like to come from a messed up family. And they just had this moment of both of them being weak together. And it was very tender. It was a very understanding moment between them, which of course led to sex. Of course. But I guess I'm feeling so surprised. I'm taken so aback by the Phyllis and Ronan affair because I really do think it's hot. I mean, like, just both of the actors are so expressive, and I just in little ways, just they're expressive in close-up ways. It's just there are subtleties to the performances that it just compels me. There are two very strong characters, two very strong personalities, two explosively sexual personalities, and it's just colliding in such a glorious, unexpected way for me. I find it hot. I cannot help myself. I think there are a lot of people out there, which I'm surprised, that aren't finding it hot. Like, I'm so on board for whatever the sex party is. That's just my personality. Like, I don't get too involved in needing couples to be with one another. I don't need any, like, there are things that annoy me on the show, pairings that I'm just about, but I don't get, like, super crazy passionate about having somebody with another person and only that other person. So for me, I'm just like, yay, it's new sex, it's hot, I'm down for the ride. That's just who I am. I'm surprised more people don't seem like they're that into Phyllis and Ronan. To me, it's so, like, I don't care. I don't need them to have a relationship. It just, to me, the scenes themselves are hot. Like, sometimes I'll be watching Y&R and kind of doing something else, but during the Phyllis and Ronan sex scenes, I'm sorry, I stop and watch, which I just don't always do. There is something about it that makes me watch it. Like, I want to see every little dirty detail of it, and I think part of it too is just that I'm so surprised. We seem to be moving full speed ahead with Phyllis and Ronan. I thought, when they first had sex, I thought, well, maybe it's just once, maybe it's just a one-time thing. And then they had sex the second time, and I'm like, oh, well, that was a nice follow-up. But now it seems like it's, third time's a freaking charm, third time something's going on here. It seems like we're moving full speed ahead on a relationship kind of with them, because it's not just sex. They're sort of talking, they're sort of connecting in a weird way. Phyllis is becoming completely estranged from Nick. I mean, Nick is moving on. Nick has moved on to Avery. I don't know how it's going to turn out with Nick and Avery. I personally think she's playing him, but I don't think there's any more hope for Phyllis and Nick in a relationship anymore, and I guess that we can just say goodbye to Ronan and Chloe? I kind of thought that there was enough fan momentum on Ronan and Chloe that Y&R was going to give that to us, but apparently not. Like, Ronan and Chloe died when Delia got cancer. It just stopped. It was like one more time, they had the one more shtup, and then that was just over. I mean, it's been weeks. We haven't had any interaction between Chloe and Ronan, so I guess we're supposed to just say goodbye to that? I mean, I don't know, because I still don't feel like Ronan and Phyllis have anything really, really substantial to build on. I like the sex. I don't know that the relationship is going to become one of the great love stories of Y&R. I just don't. I think it's sex. I think it's two people who are damaged, meeting in, just the right place, just the right time for hot, wet sex. Whereas as it does, you know, okay, here's another analogy that I thought of too. Like, it's almost like they're two positively charged ions, like coming together and colliding, and there's just this explosion. I feel like for a successful relationship, you kind of need to have a little bit of opposites attract. You know, you have to have a positive and a negative, and they kind of meld. You know, I mean, that's what kind of brings it together. When you have these two bold personalities coming together, and over sex, not over necessarily any kind of romantic thing. I don't think it's going to pan out to be anything long term. And maybe once things are revealed between Chloe and Kevin, it's possible, I suppose, that Chloe and Ronan could be reunited. I feel bad. I don't want Kevin to get hurt. I don't want Chloe to get hurt. But clearly, their engagement is based, at least in part, on what is a lie. And I think that Chloe is not Lily. And I think that Chloe will not accept that Kevin is lying to her to protect her. And I think that as soon as she realizes he was lying to her, I do think that engagement is going to be over. And she'll probably wind up back in Ronan's bed. So I don't know. I don't know if that's how it's going to be. Maybe it's just a diversion, the Phyllis and Ronan thing. But I do think that Phyllis and Ronan are two people who are reaching out for something. They're reaching out together, you know, for something right now. And whether we like it or not, Ronan seems to be opening up to Phyllis. It, you know, may not be exactly what you would want. It may not be exactly out of love, but it is opening up. And what Ronan said this week on the topic of the kidney thing that was significant was this. Phyllis kind of asked him why he's having trouble with the relationship with Nina and his family. And his response was, I owe them my life. And I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know how to deal with that. You know, I think Ronan is someone who never has taken anything from anyone. You know, he's a self-made man. And I think in some ways that's why he's very tunnel vision on his job. But with the kidney thing, with him having a disease and needing that transplant, I think that forced him into a position where he had to rely on someone. And it probably would have been easier if it wasn't a relative. But now he wouldn't probably necessarily have wanted to get close with Nina and Chance and the rest of his family. But now it's almost, he feels like he has to. You know, and if he's anything like me, it's like when you feel like you have to do something, it changes it. So I think that Ronan, maybe it's true. Maybe the struggle, you know, maybe his struggle with the liver thing is just simply because he doesn't know how to express himself. He doesn't know how to say thank you. He doesn't want to have to feel like he owes them something. I'm the same way. I don't want to feel like I owe anyone anything. It's not a good feeling, and I think it's outside of his comfort zone, and that may be exactly what the problem is. So, you know, whether we like it or not, I think that Phyllis is bringing that information out of him, and I appreciate that so much. And if we have to deal with a couple more weeks of the Sex Wolf and Red Riding Hood, well, I'm okay with that. I said it last week, and I'm gonna say it again. Ricky reminds me of a young Adam Newman. He's coming into town. He's clearly got a chip on his shoulder, and he is doing, I think, everything he can do to try to get under his father's skin. Someone made the point to me this week that maybe everything Ricky is doing has nothing to do with Heather, has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that he wants revenge on Paul. Paul was never there for him as a child, and maybe everything he's doing is about, you know, trying to enact some kind of revenge. I'm curious to know if that's, you know, what it is. And like a young Adam Newman, I am so not attracted to this guy at all. I mean, okay, here's what I would like. Are there any fans out there of Ricky? Please do not feel, I don't happen to like him, but if you like him, I would really like to hear from you. No panning, just give me some reasons why I should like Ricky. Do you find the actor attractive? To me, he's like chiseled or something. I don't know, it's just, he doesn't seem to have a whole lot of character in his face or something. But again, I will say, I was not attracted to Adam when he came on the show. And now, every time he's on screen, I'm fluttering a little bit. So I could totally be wrong. I reserve the right to change my mind. But please, fans of Ricky, leave me a comment and let me know why I should like him. Give me some reasons. Now, since Ricky is back on the scene, inevitably we have to discuss the situation surrounding his birth. I mean, Isabella is his mother. Now, I don't know when that was. It had to have been maybe in the mid-90s. No. Yeah, maybe mid or late 90s. That Isabella was with Paul. She was married to him, I believe, very, very jealous of his relationship with Christine. She tried to kill Christine, and she managed to have Paul's baby. Now, the baby, after Isabella went away, I think, I don't remember this. Did Isabella end up going to jail, or did she die? I don't remember. Please, if anybody remembers, please again, leave me a comment and tell me. But after Isabella went away, Ricky, the baby, just went to live with Isabella's parents. So again, this is another child that Paul has had very little contact with. And the fact of the matter is, though, that any way you slice it, Ricky has got some dark, dark genes because his mother was a dark, dark bird. And so I can't help but open my mind up a little bit to think that maybe Ricky does have an ulterior motive. And I don't know, I thought it was kind of a pleasure to see the flashbacks of Isabella this week and Christine still kind of, trying to struggle with the fact that she was almost killed by this person and now she's looking at Ricky, her child with Paul. And Michael's kind of having trouble with it too. And I can't remember how they didn't really address this in the flashbacks. How was Michael connected to Isabella? He said that he brought her into town, and I don't remember. Like, part of me thought maybe she was related to him in some way, or I don't know. Did he bring her on to work with him, or what the heck? What was the connection between Michael and Isabella? Somebody please help me fill in my blanks. I should have done my research before I started talking about this. But if you know the full story about Christine and Isabella and Michael and Paul, just leave a quick summary for me, and then anybody else who needs to hear that summary too can just check in at the comments and learn as well. So please help give me a refresher. Ah! There's a new Katherine! What the heck? New Katherine! Oh my goodness. The role of Kathleen Chancellor is currently being played by Michael Learned, who apparently is from the show The Waltons, which I'm sorry I did not watch, so I can't really speak too much about the actress. I really don't know the actress very well. I don't know anything about her. But it's shocking that it's even possible for Katherine to be replaced, even temporarily. It's just, it's frightening to me. But I did have to look this up and do a little bit of research because it was like, what? Apparently, Jeanne Cooper was just not feeling well. She just had a sickness, a bug, or something that she just was not able to shake, and so she just had to take some time off. That's the story. She just needed the time off, and the show must go on, and I'm sure that it is not at all easy for an actress to step into a role that is, I mean, iconically played by someone, it's not easy to walk in and fill an icon's shoes. So I'm not going to pander or anything. I thought she did a fine job. It's just temporary. I did read an article that that Jeanne is going to be back to work as Katherine as of November 7th, so as of last week, technically. So I'm imagining that her scenes will start airing within the next couple weeks, but until then, we're going to be having temporary Katherine. We just need to hang in there. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Just try to muddle through. We all have to make some sacrifices sometimes. It has been a little bit hard, I will admit, because watching Murphy touch another woman like he loves her just feels like such a deep, deep betrayal. Victor has hired Adam to come back to work at Newman in a capacity that is equal to Victoria, and he's considering giving Adam back a board seat. What? What? What's the plan here? I mean, there's no way that it's face value. Victor is saying, rationalizing, that he's keeping Adam at the company because of the old adage, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. Which I think is totally freaking ridiculous, Victor. You don't let the fox into the hen house. Adam's gonna be doing nothing but causing harm. The only thing I can see is if maybe Victor is planning to set Adam up, like let Adam do something possibly illegal, and then set him up to take the fall, because there's no way it's face value. Victor has a plan, and he's constantly wanting to get Adam out of the picture. Victor would have sent Adam to jail a year ago if he could have. Adam would be off on a desert island if Victor could have his way right now. So it's definitely part of a larger plan, which he may or may not have let Victoria in on. But all of that being said, I still feel very happy to see Adam back at Newman Enterprises. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoyed seeing, first of all, I missed the business storylines. We all know, I missed Newman Enterprises, I missed the boardroom, I missed Victor's office. When was the last time we saw Victor's office? So I'm very happy to see him back there. I think that Adam is a brilliant businessman. And I personally am just looking forward to seeing more of those skills from him. So Myrna had her face unveiled this week. The bandages came off, and it was a very Joker moment. You know, the bandages come off, and it's, you know, we're all afraid to see what's underneath, you know, in part because it's a burn victim, but in larger part because we know it's Patty. And it's Patty as being played by Stacey Haddock. You know, somebody mentioned to me a couple weeks ago, I keep thinking about this, that they knew that Stacey was going to come back and play the role. How did you know that? Because Y&R just takes people off of the roster, just brings them off the scene, and you think that they're gone, you think that the contract is over or whatever, and then suddenly they're back up. And I don't know, I for one am happy to see Stacey Haddock. I wish they would have kept her on in the capacity of Emily, though. I mean, Patty is not a character that speaks to me. And there is a part of me that's like, oh man, more of this Patty's obsession with Jack storyline. I mean, we just did it. We literally just did it. So now we're swapping out Emily with Genevieve? Just basically anytime Jack attempts to get happy, Patty has to show up to ruin it for him. I'm kind of over it a little bit. The Patty twist, while I like Stacey Haddock, it's just not rocking me. Myrna slash Patty is walking around Genevieve's mansion right now with a black veil over her face, and she's not speaking. So she's, you know, kind of in hiding. You know, she's gonna be walking around on the scene and observing Genevieve's relationship with Jack, and all the while, Jack's not gonna know what she looks like until one day the veil is lifted and all will be revealed. But in the meantime, Jack is kind of spearheading this kind of fundraiser thing for burn victims, and so he has reasons to talk to her. He wants to get her to speak at this event, so it's going to cause more interaction between those two. And I don't know, I'll go along for the ride and everything. I just, I don't know, it wouldn't have been my ideal storyline. And And I'm wondering are we ever gonna convict Patty of Diane's murder? Is Ronan gonna figure that out ever? Or, I mean, is it gonna happen? Is that gonna be Patty's end? Is she gonna come back for a little while to torture Jack, and then maybe we'll find out that she killed Diane, and then she goes off to jail or prison or mental hospital this time? No prison walls could hold this woman, I'm sure. She is the new Sheila. Make no mistake, Patty is the new Sheila. Now, before I forget to mention, whatever happened to Kyle? Where's Kyle? And furthermore, what happened to the whole Victor has custody of Kyle thing? You know, whatever became of that? Is that something, is it just a seed to be planted and grow into a later storyline? Or is that gross negligence on Y&R's part? Because I'm like, wow, that was really explosive. I mean, where Jack's going on with this you know, his Jabot new company, you know, spearheady life, and this new woman, he's with Genevieve, and he's gonna have this whole Patty thing going on, and I can't help but wonder where his son is. Where's Jack's son? And why does Y&R keep creating storylines just to drop them? Well, I guess Lily just accepts that Kane is gonna do his own thing. He pretty much told her this week that he's gonna travel abroad to try to help a friend. He again gives her very little information, but he's going into a dangerous situation, and she just accepts it. It's fine. My man lies to me. It's cool. It's just what it is. It's the nature of the relationship. I'm done. I still want to grab Kane's tight little buns. But he's a liar. He's a liar. And I'm not saying that he needed to tell Lily Billy's secret. He didn't need to tell her that it was Billy. But it's just, you know, there was this scene this week with Lily and Jill and Victoria all talking about, you know, kind of, or, you know, they're talking about how men lie to them, you know, which is just, I have a zero tolerance policy for lying, which is why it's so difficult for me to understand where Lily is coming from and to continue to support this relationship. Lily and Kane, there's passion there, but there's just too many lies, and I just can't go back. And I also, you know, I feel sort of similarly about Billy and Victoria right now. Again, I think that they have a fun relationship, but they just can't seem to get their act together. And frankly, it bothers me more that Billy seems to care more about getting back together with Victoria and what's going to happen with his relationship with Victoria than he did about his daughter. I think the whole point of this needed to be about his daughter. I mean, he's longing for Victoria, wanting to get back together with her, and we saw so much of that, but it should be about your daughter who's in the hospital with cancer. Well, fortunately this week, we learned that Delia's cancer is in remission, so I think that that'll free Chloe up to have her big Christmas wedding slash possible revelation that Kevin's been lying to her. But, you know, just more. I'm glad, I mean, Billy was very happy that his daughter is in remission, but still, he seems to be focused on Victoria. But also focused on clearing his name. Kane is going to Myanmar to try to find out what the story is, how Billy got thrown into jail and whatever the situation is. Like, still, I have no real understanding about what happened in Myanmar. Basically, there was a girl. That's all we know. There's a girl that Kane is looking for that's going to have some answers. And that's pretty much it. Billy did a little internet search this week and found an article that said that there is an increasing number of Westerners being arrested in Myanmar and saying that they're innocent. So obviously Billy was set up. Whatever it was that happened, he was set up. And I could bet you that Victor was behind it completely. I mean, it's classic. It's problem, reaction, solution. That's exactly what it is. Victor creates the problem, controls the reaction, and offers the solution. You know, he sets Billy up for whatever this crime that he is, you know, that he did, and then he offers the solution, which is to get him out of jail, but force him, you know, to do his own way. I mean, or frankly, I think he would have been happy if Billy would have sat and rotted in jail. How else do you think Victor knew exactly where he was? So I think Victor was completely behind setting him up. It's exactly his style. He's done it before. He's set Billy up before. So Billy's on this quest to try to find out any proof he can to prove his innocence. He's got Kane off searching for this mystery woman in Myanmar that's supposed to have answers, and he has Kevin helping him on the home front, of course keeping Victoria and Chloe and at bay, while asking Kevin to do a little side job for him, hacking into Victor's computer, which is so cute. Kevin is so cute, just hacking into the computer. It was hilarious and adorable. But he was able to hack into the computer and get a photo of this girl. So for some reason, Victor had a photo of this mystery girl. So again, I ask you, why did Victor have the photo? Victor set him up. There's just no other way around it. But Kevin was able to get that information, send it to Kane to help him in his search, and we're on our way. I don't feel like I know a whole lot about this storyline. I think more is going to be revealed. It's being revealed slowly. I think that what the big revelations will be next week is that while Kane is in Myanmar, guess what? Victoria has decided that she's tired of waiting around for Billy. She has this gut feeling that if he hasn't come back by now, then something is really, really wrong. So Victoria is right behind Kane on her way to Myanmar, and I think if she has her way, Jill is gonna be with her. I love Angelo and Angelina. I could not love them more if I tried. They are so over the top. This whole storyline with Angelo and Angelina, it's so over the top, but I love it. I love Angelina. I love her crazy little fur costume. I love her accent. I love that she's a brat. I love that Angelo is this doting father who thinks that his daughter is super, super talented, and he wants her to compete in this competition that's going to be taking place in Genoa City, and he's strong-arming Devon into helping her, and she really could care less, I think, about the singing competition or any of the singing, because every time she opens her mouth, it's just like yaga 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 da dow. It's just so funny. I guess some people just can't hear themselves because she's really bad, but it doesn't even matter because she is starting to develop some tunnel vision. She has set her eyes on Kevin, who's been helping Gloria out at Glowworm, and she sees him, she likes what she sees, and she has a little crush, and she is enlisting Devon to try to help her, not with her music career, but with getting Kevin. And she even says, you know, what Angie wants, Angie gets. So get me Kevin. It's just so funny and so cute. And Kevin's reaction as Angie is flirting with him is just so comedy. And just everybody's reaction to her is comedy. She's funny, and then watching the reactions to her are funny. And I just feel like we need a good laugh. You know, I think Devon especially needs a good laugh. He has a lot of serious crap going on with his family. And I'm just kind of hoping that, you know, even though Devon's being forced to coach her with her singing, I'm sort of hoping that it turns into like a swan story in the end. Like, I can see Devon being forced to coach her and just going through all these funny, terrible, horrible moments, you know, and mishaps trying to coach her. And then at the end, when it comes time for the competition, I think he could turn her into a lovely songbird. I just think that, I hope that's where the storyline, you know, was going. That, you know, in the end, especially since she's an American Idol contestant, you know, Devon's able to turn the tables on her and turn her into just an amazing, amazing singer. Okay, well, those are my thoughts for this week. How about you? What do you think about this week's show? Do you have any special comments that you want to leave me? Because if you do, all you have to do is write them down in the text box. Just leave me a brief message and let me know what you're thinking, or leave me a long message, I don't care. Leave a couple of comments, I don't care. I'm curious to know what you guys are thinking. It's been a pretty explosive week, so I'm sure that you have some opinions out there. So don't be afraid to share them with me, whether you agree or don't agree. It doesn't matter. Just leave me a comment. I'll be looking forward to reading them. And hey, if you want to help me out, why not give this video a thumbs up? That helps. That just gives me a little bit of a boost when people thumbs up the video and let me know that you like me, let me know that you like what I'm doing. And you can also go to my website if you want to check up on me before next week's video. It's yrchatblog.blogspot.com, and when you go to that website, you can also connect with me on like Twitter and Facebook. So if you want to chat with me throughout the week about the show, you can do that too. I have a Facebook fan page, and I just want to say hi to everybody from the Facebook fan page, and also anybody who's tweeting with me on Twitter. So definitely, if you use those social networking sites, hook up with me so we can chitty chat about the show before next week. But I will, of course, be back next week in video form for your viewing pleasure. And I'll be looking forward to chatting with you guys about the show then. So, everybody, I love you. Have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you next time. Okay. Bye.